What if I told you that millions of people watch football every week and still don't fully understand what's going on? No, seriously, Offside alone has confused fans for decades. But in the next few minutes, you're going to understand every major football rule so clearly, you could explain it to someone else without thinking twice. Let's start simple. Football, also called soccer, is basically a game of two teams trying to score by getting the ball into the opponent's goal. Each team has 11 players. One goalkeeper. 10 outfield players. And here's something surprising, there are no timeouts like in American sports. The game flows continuously for 90 minutes. That's two halves of 45 minutes each. But here's the twist, the clock never actually stops. Instead, referees add something called stoppage time at the end. So when you see 90 plus 5, that means 5 extra minutes were added because of delays. Now let's talk about how you actually score. It's simple. The entire ball must cross the goal line. Not half. Not almost. The whole ball. And here's a fun fact, some of the most controversial moments in football history come from goals that were just millimeters close. Now, what happens when a player breaks the rules? That's where fouls come in. If you trip, push, or unfairly challenge another player, it's a foul. And the other team gets a free kick. But not all fouls are equal. Some are minor. Some are game-changing. For example, if a foul happens inside the penalty box, things get serious. That's a penalty kick. One player. One goalkeeper. No defenders. And statistically, around 75 to 80% of penalties are scored. So yeah, it's a big deal. Now let's address the most confusing rule in football. Offside. This is where most beginners get lost. But here's the simplest way to understand it. You cannot cherry pick. In other words, you can't just stand near the opponent's goal waiting for an easy pass. At the moment the ball is passed to you, you must have at least 2 defenders between you and the goal. Usually, that includes the last defender and the goalkeeper. If you're closer than them, offside. But here's the interesting part, being in an offside position isn't always a foul. You only get penalized if you're actively involved in the play. Confusing? A little. But once you see it in action, it clicks fast. Now let's talk about throw-ins. When the ball goes out of bounds on the sides, the other team gets a throw-in. But there's a catch. Both feet must stay on the ground. And the ball has to be thrown from behind your head. Break those rules? You lose possession. Simple. Next, corner kicks and goal kicks. If the defending team touches the ball last and it goes out over their goal line. Corner kick. This is a huge scoring opportunity. In fact, many teams train specific strategies just for corners. But if the attacking team touches it last? Goal kick. And the defending team gets the ball back. Now here's something most beginners don't expect. There's no limit to substitutions in casual football discussions, but in professional matches, teams usually have a fixed number. And once a player is subbed off, they can't come back on. So every substitution matters. Now let's talk about cards. Yellow card? That's a warning. Red card? Game over. If a player gets a red card, they're sent off immediately. And here's the brutal part, their team continues with one less player. So it becomes 11 versus 10. Or worse. And yes, that one decision can completely change the outcome of a match. Now here's a question for you. Why don't games end in ties during knockout tournaments? Because of extra time and penalties. If the score is tied after 90 minutes, you get 30 more minutes. Still tied? Penalty shootout. One of the most intense moments in sports. Players walk up, one by one, with everything on the line. Miss? You might cost your team the entire tournament. Score? You become a hero. That pressure is unreal. And finally, here's something subtle but important. Football is not just about rules. It's about flow, positioning, timing. That's why a simple rule like offside can completely change how the game is played. Now you know the essentials. You understand how goals work, what fouls mean, why offside exists, and how matches are decided. So next time you watch a game, you won't feel lost. You'll actually see what's happening beneath the surface. And once you understand football, it becomes way more fun to watch. Because now you're not just watching, you're reading the game. If this made football finally make sense, stick around. Because the deeper you go, the more interesting it gets.